Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Raise the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started today at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
So I told you that we would have Speaker Newt Gingrich on, and I'm just so honored to call him a friend. I admire so much what he has done for the country, as I know you all do. He was Speaker of the House for the first time as a Republican for, 40 years or something like that. He was the leader of the Republican Revolution in the early 1990s, which I think was the second phase of the Reagan Revolution. Mr. Speaker, the way I like to put it is there was the Reagan Revolution in the 80s, and then the Newt Gingrich Republican Revolution of the 90s, and now we have the Donald Trump revolution that we're in the midst of right now. So first of all, thanks for joining. And I want to start with this question. I know I've asked you this before, but I think it's so important. When you came into the speakership, we were running massive deficits. We've been running deficits for 25 years. Everyone said it was impossible to balance the budget. I thought it was impossible to balance the budget. You did it in 3 or 4 years, which was I think kind of a miracle. And can you just very quickly for us summarize how you were able to defy all the odds and get that budget balanced?
Well, I think first of all, you're exactly right that we stood on Ronald Reagan's shoulders, and virtually everything in the contract with America came out of Ronald Reagan. We combined, I think, a couple of things. One was tax cuts and deregulation to dramatically accelerate economic growth.
Right.
You look at the Dow Jones when I went in, and 4 years later, it was astonishing how big the economic growth was.
Yes.
Which was, by the way, something also happened with Reagan. When the tax cuts finally hit, I think Larry Kudlow said that there was 15% growth in one quarter. That was just unbelievable. Yeah. So part of it is we had tremendous economic growth. We were very tough on spending. We reformed welfare. We reformed Medicare. And it was that combination, I'd say, of tax cuts, deregulation,
right,
real and then genuine spending cuts, all of which, by the way, the current big, beautiful bill that Trump is in favor of, which I would call the Make America Affordable Again Act, because I think average people really want to be able to go to work and have enough take-home pay that they can, go out and shop without having to worry. And I think that we're very close to getting a bill. And I think that, candidly, the chart you sent me showing the impact of economic growth on the budget is exactly the right direction. Kevin Hassett had commented that, basically, these are my words, not his, but basically the Congressional Budget Office just deliberately undermined Trump by scoring economic growth at a level that's absurd. I think it was like 1.8%. I think he'll be somewhere between 3 and 4. And frankly, if he has very many weeks like last week, where he got literally between 3 countries, he got $1 trillion in the sale of American products and $1 trillion in commitments for capital investment in the United States. You have very many weeks like that, and you have the tax cuts and the deregulation in the bill that's currently in the Congress. You're going to get extraordinary economic growth.
I couldn't agree more. And the reason I would ask you about what happened in those mid-'90s years to the late '90s, that you were the captain of the team then, was that I recall that at that period when you were putting those budgets together, you were so savagely criticize, oh my gosh, poor people are going to lose their benefits and, throw widows and orphans on the street and all of that kind of thing. So, and I mention that because that's what we're hearing right now. Once again,
sure.
It's the same.
And frankly, they're all lies. I mean,
I know.
It was very funny. The other day, the Democrats and the Energy and Commerce Committee held up the pictures of people that they said were going to be cut off of Medicaid, and everybody they were holding up was either young or had a disability, and none of those people are affected. The people being cut off Medicaid are either illegal immigrants or able-bodied adults who refuse to work. Now,
amazing.
I also, frankly, go after people who are cheating because we have estimates from the Government Accounting Office that there are trillions of dollars stolen over the course of a decade in the Medicaid program. And I think it's fair to say I'm against paying crooks. Now, I know it's bold, out on the edge, and I'm sure some liberal Democrats will be incensed at the idea that we should only pay honest people. But that's a debate I look forward to.
So all of these ideas that we're talking about, and most of the ideas, maybe not every one of them, but most of the ideas that are in the Republican budget are popular with the American public. Americans do want the Trump tax cuts extended. I saw a poll 65%, even almost a majority of Democrats want that. Most Americans do believe in common sense welfare reform, where if you're going to get benefits from the government, you have to either be looking for a job or in a job if you're capable of working. Most Americans agree that lowering taxes is good for the economy. Most Americans are outraged by the fraud in these programs. And you're quite right, Mr. Speaker, that if these are the government's own auditors, by the way, this isn't me speaking or you speaking. These are the government's own auditors that say almost $500 billion a year is being ripped off from these programs. And I don't understand why it is that stopping the fraud is somehow hurting people. I mean, this is something that most Americans think is common sense.
Yeah, I think one of the things that leads to timidity is Republicans just aren't used to debating. They hide. And the fact is, we will win this. I saw Robert F. Kennedy today in one of the hearings just tore into the Democrats and went exactly down the line we're talking about. He said, what we're doing is going after, first of all, people who are legal immigrants. Second, people who are able-bodied and should be working. And third, crooks who have been stealing from the system. Now, I'd be happy to go into any Democratic district and debate that not taking your tax money to give to illegal immigrants, crooks, or able-bodied adults who refuse to work. And you're exactly right. In every case, it's better than 2-1 in favor of what the Republicans are doing, despite the bias of the propaganda media.
The new McCrispy Strip is here. Dip approved by ketchup, tangy barbecue, honey mustard, Sprite, McFlurry, Big Mac sauce, double dipped in buffalo and ranch, more ranch, and creamy chili McCrispy Strip Dip. Now at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for the stay.
Your snacking routine can get a little dull. Time for a Light and Fit remix. Like a crunchy storm of graham cookies, caramel pearls, and dark chocolate, showering down into a smooth, creamy yogurt. Enjoy 3 Light and Fit remix varieties with craveable flavors and up to 120 calories and 10 grams of protein per 4.5-ounce serving. See remixyogurt.com.
So good, so good, so good.
Get ready, cause Clear the Rack is on at your Nordstrom Rack store. Now through Monday, find incredible deals on Wear Now styles. On sale for even less at Nordstrom Rack. Take an extra 25% off red tag clearance throughout the store from brands like Free People, Steve Madden, Vince, and more. All sales final. The best stuff goes fast. So shop this sale at Nordstrom Rack today. Please see NordstromRack.com or ask a store associate for details.
And we also know, by the way, from what you guys did, I keep hearkening back to what you guys did in 95, 96, 97, that period, because again, this is an instant replay, folks, of what happened I don't know, some 20 years ago. And what I think is so interesting about this is, remember, people said, "Oh, if you pass the Newt Gingrich budget, Republicans are going to lose the Congress." Remember, and you held the House, right?
We became two key facts, and these are facts, not theories. We became the first re-elected House Republican majority since 1928.
Wow,
and in the
amazing.
And in the process, the only 4 consecutive balanced budgets in the last 100 years.
Right.
So when people tell me it can't be done, I think it is vital for the House to finish passing this bill before Memorial Day, exactly as Speaker Johnson has been trying. I think it is vital that the Senate get the bill out within 2 or 3 weeks, go to conference, and get the final bill on Trump's desk by July 4th. If that happens, and I've written about this at Gingrich 360, you will have a Trump boom next year. I mean, you'll have an astonishing economy.
Oh, I read your piece. I thought was outstanding, and I think great minds think alike, because Larry Kudlow and I both totally agree with you that if we got to get the tax bill done, we got to get the trade deals done, and then I think you see a big boom. Just like, by the way, you had a boom when you fixed things. I mean, the economy in the late 1990s and the stock market went on a boom just like that. I wanted to ask you, if I could, sir, about the you saw what happened obviously yesterday with the House budget. Some of the Republican conservatives, some of my best friends in the Congress, voted that bill down. I think that maybe they have a point. I think there are some defects in the current bill, and I think it can be improved. And I wanted to mention 2 or 3 things and get your reaction to this, if I may. Number one, I do believe that Chip Roy and some of his, conservative allies are right, that I think we're not tough enough on some of the, for example, like the Medicaid reforms don't even kick in for another 3 or 4 years and so on. And I'm frustrated by that. And do you think he has a point on that one?
Well, look, the Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Reconciliation Act was signed into law on August 22nd, 1996. It went into effect on October 1st. And the section that involved families with children had until January 1st, 1997. There's zero reason to take 2 or 3 or 4 years to implement these things.
Yes,
and frankly,
I agree.
If the Republican leadership will simply take the model that we did in '96 and apply it, they'll find the savings to make all the fiscal conservatives happy while doing something which everybody in the country thinks should be done.
And to add that, I know I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but I just want to remind our listeners that when you did that, we had the biggest reduction in welfare caseloads, I think, in American history. And I think all the studies show that the vast majority of those people actually saw an improvement in their life. They saw an improvement in their incomes because they got jobs.
Well, it's the largest improvement in children in poverty in American history because exactly that. Their parents went to work, their incomes went up. And by the way, the children learned that it's okay to get up on Monday and go to work, which is really important. If you want to break a cycle of poverty, you've got to have a parent who's working.
Yes.
And Ronald Reagan used to say the greatest social program is a job. And I think that's true. And so I'm totally with you. And I think that Chip Roy and the others, if they could get the starting time, and I actually don't understand why they accepted the idea that it would take so long to implement. Certainly by January 1 of 97, at the very, very latest, they could implement. And I think that gets billions of dollars.
That they think somehow this is going to reduce the complaints and all the, Republicans are cutting Medicaid, but they're going to say that anyway.
Yeah. No, I didn't understand why they did it. And I think I was told they did it because they had asked some of the states how long it would take to implement. And of course, the states promptly gave them the most bureaucratic possible answer. But that's why I went back. I asked one of the folks on my team to go back, pull up the actual dates that we did. And it was almost instantaneous because, you send a clear, simple message. Get this done or you lose the money.
So so I think you and I agree on that. The second issue that I'm concerned about is this issue that's been debated about for a number of years: the SALT deduction, the state and local tax deduction. And by the way, this is a flagship New York station, so many of the people who are listening to the show live in New York and New Jersey and Connecticut, three of the bluest states in the country. But when I was one of the people who insisted in the first bill in 2017 that we get rid of the state and local tax deduction, because I don't think people in Texas should have to pay more taxes to to subsidize people in California and New York, but that's just my own view. But we offered $20,000. We increased the exemption from $10,000 to $20,000, and that was supposed to be the deal. And then they said no. With some of these Republicans, that's not enough. So then we said, all right, look, we'll take it from 20 to 30. And then they still weren't happy with it. And now we're just talking about, now they want to increase to $50,000, $100,000, which just basically essentially brings back the state and local tax deduction, which just encourages these blue states, Mr. Speaker, to raise their taxes.
Yeah. Bismarck once said that politics is the art of the possible. From Johnson's standpoint, because we have such a small majority, he has to get those votes.
Yes.
If the cost of getting an extraordinary bill is doing something that's moderately stupid,
Right.
because in their minds, I happen to think they're wrong, but in their minds, they believe this is the margin of their reelection. You may not remember this, but in because we knew nobody had been reelected since 1928. So we were really careful in 1995, 96, because we didn't just want to win once. We wanted to change the whole
Right.
power structure of Washington. So
Right.
the unions went after us for a minimum wage increase. And we had 23 districts where the members felt that if they didn't at least get a vote on it, that they would just get defeated. And one of the great moments of leadership I've ever seen, Majority Leader Dick Armey got up and he said, look, I'm an economics professor. I ran for Congress because I hate the minimum wage. It's terrible. I think it's totally wrong. And I want you to know that as majority leader, I am scheduling a vote on behalf of our majority, which I will vigorously oppose on the floor as the member from Texas. And it was the art of the possible. It was not. I don't think it was a good idea, but it was a necessary idea to keep the majority. And so if they have to cut some fairly stupid deal, which you and I both agree is wrong, but it gets them the votes necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And if they can combine that with moving up the dates on welfare reform and workfare in Medicaid so everybody on the right can feel good, and we can actually get the bill passed so the Senate can then put pressure on the Senate to pass their version. I'm 100% for it because it's the art of the possible. It's practical,
The art of the deal.
and it has to be
So
done.
we only have 1 minute left. So in closing, Mr. Speaker, how confident are you that this is going to get done? Are we going to get it done, do you think, by, I'd like to see, I used to say Memorial Day, but now I take 4th of July. But I think it's urgent that we get this done and that there's some, that people know what's going to happen with the tax code. How, are you confident that we're going to get this done?
Well, I'm 99% confident it will get done. I am 70% confident it will get done by July 4th. And I would just say all of our listeners, if you want to boom next year in a great economy, call your congressman and call your senators and tell them, you expect them to vote to get this thing done.
Yep. That's Speaker Newt Gingrich, one of the American heroes of the last 50 years. Mr. Speaker, thanks so much for joining. This is the More Money Show.